Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on today's show, excuse the voice a little bit under the weather. Let's get on with the action, including a pair of autonomous automobile accidents. As this is the new world we live in, with these vehicles actually doing a lot of testing on public roads, you're going to have an incident now and then, including the folks over at Tesla who's had their fair amount of accidents over the past year or so. The latest one involved a Model S that's supposedly in autopilot mode at upwards of 60 miles an hour that rear-ended a stationary fire truck that was working in an accident scene. No reports on just what exactly took place during this, as it's still investigation is still ongoing, so we may have some more information coming very soon. Not only is Tesla in a little bit of hot water, but the folks over at General Motors are as well, along with their folks over at Cruise Automation that's doing their fully autonomous automobiles moving into the future. This particular incident was an interesting one. It happened in San Francisco late last year, where a motorcyclist actually got into it with one of these autonomous automobiles. And because of the injuries and whatnot, this particular cyclist is now suing General Motors over the situation. Now, the deal is kind of interesting, at least as far as the motorcycle guy is concerned. This deal may get thrown out of court. The fact that he was actually splitting lanes, it's a common practice, I guess maybe not super common, for motorcyclists to actually split the lanes, go right on the dotted line in between automobiles in traffic, especially in vehicles with a large amount of lanes to be offered. Supposedly the autonomous vehicle actually swerved a tad bit to get out of the cyclist's way, but then went right back into its lane where the motorcyclist was at the time, and it ended up hitting the motorcyclist and knocking him to the ground with a fair amount of injuries on his part. So this will be an interesting story heading forward, just what exactly comes out about this deal, because early reports that it was the cyclist accident at first, so it'll be interesting to see what this happens in open courts. Next up on the list, well, you may not think of the Mach 1 when I think of the Mach 1. I think of this mid-2000s Mach 1 that a friend of mine actually owned. In fact, actually the same color as this automobile. That I got a fair amount of seat time back in the late and mid-2000s. Now, this is a vehicle that may be making a comeback, according to the Ford Motor Company, showing off a teaser shot of this vehicle at the old Detroit Motor Show. The possibility of this coming back as a full EV, which I asked my friend if he thought was okay by him if Mach 1 became an EV. But then there's more reports that the Mach 1 will actually go on an SUV electric vehicle, which my friend actually said that he was okay with the Mach 1 being an EV, but is not okay with it becoming a sport utility vehicle. So we'll have to wait and see on this front, and the possibility of a Mustang EV is definitely in there because they teased that as well. Possibility that could end up being the Mach 1. Ford is reporting that they're actually going to go for the performance route for this EV vehicle, because Ford, a little late to the party when it comes to electric vehicles is concerned. So it'll be interesting to see what Ford has up their sleeve for the rest of the year for the new Mustang EV and the possibility of the new sport utility EV that could be called the Mach 1. Next up on the list, General Motors is thinking the 1LE version of the ZL1 could be the right ticket to take down some big guns at the Nürburgring. There's a report that General Motors is thinking this vehicle is going to be able to do a sub 7-minute lap, which puts it in some real rarefied air for the vehicles that have pounded around the Nordschleife loop, down with some of the quickest cars on the planet. And I have to see, after seeing an SSLE that actually was pounding around the streets of Willow in the latest Motor Trend On Demand video head-to-head, where it put it in some rarefied air with some cars that were way more expensive and way more powerful. And this ZL1 1LE's got a lot more power and a lot more downforce. So this may be the right ticket for a sub 7-minute lap, which may become somewhat of the norm for real high-performance cars coming very soon. So we'll have to wait and see on this front. Cannot wait to hear what General Motors takes this thing to the ring. Last up on the list, well, you may remember this car if we had fun making fun of this vehicle when it passed us heading back from Florida from the old Mecum auction. Because I like to make fun of this car because it's the answer to a question that nobody was asking. Nobody ever really wanted a sport utility vehicle that had a convertible top. But Nissan thought this was the right ticket for the right time, even though it only sold for a handful of years and really didn't sell very well. Apparently, its time has come. According to the folks over at Car Gurus, they're claiming that this vehicle is still selling for over $25,000 in the open market, which is 2/3 of what this vehicle is actually was sold for, at least brand new, which is a pretty interesting situation. Now, the fact that these vehicles were very, very rare, because they didn't make so many of them, because obviously they didn't sell very many of them, is pretty, well, that's kind of par for the course. The price might be a little bit high, but man, oh man, that is a lot of money for a car that never really flew. Now, this being said, I can see the market for this car, and I can see people that would really want one of these cars. It would be a pretty entertaining conversation piece. Speaking of the conversation piece, a little story from the old Motor Cars Enthusiast bank from way back in the day. When this car was brand new, friends and I were making fun of this automobile. And I was one of the first ones to get to see it in the flesh, as a local little Nissan dealership in the town that I work in actually got one of these on their lot. So I swung in to take some photographs of it to share with my buddies. Well, I got the attention of the local salesman who came running out and said, "Boy, if you're interested, you better get on your horse, because there's a guy who's really interested in this car." And I said, "Sir, I'm not really interested at all. Just wanted to get some photographs of this car." He said, "Well, I got the keys. Let's put that top down, because it really looks good with the top down." I kind of was able to mask my amusement by that whole particular situation. That being said, I got some fair amount of photographs of the vehicle in various states of toplessness. And then the sales guy, actually came out with the shocker of my life nearly. Said that the fellow that was interested in this was on the fence on whether he was going to own one of this, the Nissan Murano Cabrio, or a 370Z Nissan. Yes, a sport utility convertible and a two-door sports car. Granted, none of these vehicles only having two doors is the only thing these two had in common, because there's no utility in a 370Z, and there's kind of really no utility in the Nissan Murano, so maybe they are a little bit closer than I thought. So, interesting deal. The car ended up selling not too very long after that. Fellow must have actually pulled the trigger on that automobile. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Don't forget to like us over on the Facebook page. Links down in the show notes. You can check out a ton of the photographs I took over at the Beacon auction in Kissimmee, Florida, with all the cool stuff that was down there. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time. Get the first dibs of the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.